Farmers in the agricultural sector have been complaining that the government should stop buying maize from farmers, which to some point makes some sense. Yes, it does make some sense because you cannot buy one product from some set of farmers and not buy from these other farmers. Before any farmer or any business person starts a business, the product he or she is developing to sell to users, he must have in his mind the clients and the consumers who will buy that product. And this applies to farmers. When you're producing your maize, when you're producing your milk, when you're producing your tomatoes, when you're producing your melons, we usually tell farmers the first thing you do is a market research. Identify where will you sell your product, who will buy your product. Now, this has turned out to be quite different with maize farmers. To start with, maize, unlike other seed in the horticulture sector, does not have VAT. All these other hybrid seeds, the such of cabbages, tomatoes, kales, and even the simplest spinach, they all attract 16% VAT. But for maize, it doesn't have any VAT. Okay, now this enables the maize farmers to buy the seeds cheaply and affordably. Then the government comes in and subsidizes also fertilizer. And this one, if the government has subsidized the NPK for maize planting, it's bled in a way it's for maize planting, okay? So for other farmers, they still have to go and buy the normal DAP, which is usually higher in terms of price than the subsidized fertilizer. And all this is aimed to help the farmer produce more bags. So once they produce, they dry their produce, now they start complaining they don't have somewhere to sell their product. And they know at the harvesting point, the supply will be high and prices will definitely have to fall. And the reason why mostly the government intervenes and buys is one, to set a price ceiling. You see, if the government says it's buying at 4,000 per bag, the broker ends up buying at 4,200 or 4,500. This sets a price floor. I mean, a price floor where the minimum price cannot go below that set by the government. The other reason is as a food reserve, which can be released during the food shortage. But you see, even the food reserve board does not end up lowering the prices of feed. Now, this feels unfair for other farmers, like those farmers of cabbages, especially from large counties like Nyandarua. This county, like 80%, there are farmers. They depend on their farming. And when they buy their seeds, these seeds attract VAT 16%. Okay? Then they often don't get the subsidized fertilizer specifically for cabbage farming. So when they reach to harvesting, the supply is as usual high, no one intervenes, the price falls, consumers are happy because you can buy the same head of cabbage at 5 bob. So imagine when you are buying that head of cabbage, which has taken 3 months to grow, at 5 bob at the market, or 20 bob at least, or 30 bob at least at the market. Now imagine how much will the farmer have sold it. And that's why in extreme cases, especially now that there is this heavy downfall, farmers may get anger and they end up disposing their cabbages or even feeding them to their animals. And the government in this case does not intervene. It does not come in and say, okay, we bought maize for the maize farmers, let's now come and buy the surplus cabbages so that we can now sell it as a food reserve. They don't. So farmers, in most cases, they end up so much frustrated such that they just have to feed their cabbages to the cows. Loads in most of these counties which farm these horticultures are very inaccessible. And even if the buyers want to go and buy them, the cost of leaching the farmer is very, very high. So you find the prices in the market are a bit high, but what the farmer gets, it's low. The case is similar to tomatoes, and especially the farmers from those large growing areas, the likes of Lumuluti in Laikipia County, the likes of Kirinyaga County, some parts of Loitoktok in the Kajiado County. These farmers have made losses in millions. And remember, tomatoes are heavy feeders. And once the surplus hits the market, the prices just fall. And in worst cases, you'll find in the interior parts of Lumuluti, brokers don't want to buy them. And even when they buy, imagine you sell a crate at 500, plus in that 500, you less some amount to pay that broker to go and sell your tomatoes in the Mombasa market or in the other market. So you end up super frustrated. So these are the case where now farmers say, okay, if you're buying for the maize farmers, also have a way that you'll be buying our excess tomatoes. Have a way that you'll be buying our excess cabbages. Have a way that you'll be also buying the excess onions. Farmers have made losses, especially in tomatoes. Also in onions, farmers have made a lot of losses in millions. So the best solution is the government should just let the supply and demand kick in. Yes, and let every farmer for himself. All of you go to the market, sell. If you get a good price, well and fine. If you don't get a good price, well and fine. But setting in and deciding to buy a maize for farmers, at the end of the time, the other farmers feels like, okay, if that happens for them. And remember, the cost of farming maize in 1 acre is almost it's almost a quarter or a half of farming onions in 1 acre. The cost of farming onions is double per acre that of onions and tomatoes. Let me hear your view. But before you leave, ensure that you like this video, ensure that you share, and also visit our website and YouTube page, Farmworks Kenya.